Minisita w'ebyensimbi Matiya Kasaija yawandikira sipiika n'amuwa olukalala lw'ebitongole n'abantu kinoomu ng'amusaba nti Paalamenti ekkirize ng'etteeka bwe ligamba tubasonyiwe emisolo egyabalemeredde okusasula. Mu abo mulimu abantu babiri abatutabudde ennyo. Asooka ye Kananula nti ye property developer azimba mayumba bw'agatunda naye mbu yalwala n'alemererwa okusasula omusolo kati tugumunsonyiwe. Owokubiri kampani bagiyita Jet2 nti kino ekitongole kikola ku byakuzimba kyatandikibwawo nga kizimbira magye gokka. Twabagamba bakomewo batunnyonnyole amagye agakola enguudo ne gazimba n'ebizimbe mu Kampala galemwa gatya okwezimbira barakisi ng'ekaweeweeta ate ne baleeta omuntu omulala bazimbira ate bo nga bagenda kuzimbira balala. Omuntu oyo tutuke n'okumusasulira emisolo ng'afuna ssente za bwereere. N'ekisinze obukulu tubabuuzizza Jet2 y'ani ne bagamba nti bo tebamanyi Jet2 y'ani, bamanyi kampani kitongole kye bamanyi. So ebyo bwe bigatta ku bintu bibiri. Ekisooka omuntu alina okumanya nti omwaka ogujja Uganda egenda kusolooza omusolo trillioni 31 ebanjibwa amabanja ag'okusasula omwaka ogujja trillioni 34. Twakoze bajeti ya trillioni 72. Sente zisinga obungi tugenda kuzeewola kuba tetusobola kusolooza musolo gumala nti naye ate abaalisasudde omusolo gavumenti yagala basonyiwa musolo. Bw'osoma lipooti ya Auditor General December 2023 ekugamba nti omwaka oguwedde ogw'ebyensimbi emyaka 2 egiwedde twasonyiwa abantu emisolo trillioni ezisukka 2 nga tubasonyiwa nti ekigendererwa bakulaakulanye ebitongole byabwe bannayuganda emirimu n'ekyokubiri bafune obusobozi butandika okusasula omusolo. Naye ng'otajja n'agamba nti byonna ensonga ze twasinziirako okusonyiwa abantu abo omusolo tebaatuukirizako n'emu tulekeraawo okusonyiwa abantu emisolo. Minisitule eteekwa okuba nga yekwatibwako okusolooza emisolo kale ate ze mu Paalamenti ega nti Auditor General mwerabire tusonyiwe Kananula tusonyiwe Jet2 n'ebitongole ebirala. Bw'obabuuza bano be muleese be bani tetubamanyi naye tumanyi mannya ga bitongole. Kimanye nga chairman abantu bali badde tubagobye ku makya buli omu nga yagenze dda kukola mirimu gye.
We have really tried to look for it, but it's not available. So where not available, kindly colleagues understand us. Let me now go to my written submission. Mr. Chair and colleagues, I wish to make a written submission on these cases which you asked us to come and talk about as follows. One, Kerry Business Institute. This is an education institute registered since 9th May 1995. The taxpayer applied for a waiver of taxes in August 2023, and the reasons provided for the request were: one, closure of the institute as a result of 2 years lockdown during the COVID pandemic season; two, low enrollment of the students since the reopening of the schools. The enrollments of the students had fallen to 162 from 326 prior to the pandemic. The amount recommended for waiver as at February 2024 was Uganda shillings 239,306,340, comprising of income tax of 131.789 and interest of 107.516. Now, case 2 is in Kumba University. This is an education institution registered since 12th January 1992. In March 2022, the university applied for a tax waiver of pay as you earn, owing to financial constraints the university was facing, which include: one, the university faced a strike in 2014 in which much of the property was destroyed; two, student enrollment fell from 6,500 to 3,500, reducing cash inflows; three, The COVID pandemic further impacted the university's cash flows, and 4, the university has long-term loans with the DFCU Bank to a tune of 5 billion payable in 8 years. The amount recommended for waiver as at 20th November 2023 was 4.479 billion, which was pay as you earn, principal and interest charge. 3. Case 3 is MSJ2E Investment Corporation Limited. This is a company in the business of building construction and has been registered since 29th August 2010. Their main contract was with the Ministry of Defense and Veteran Affairs to do works in Kawaweta Military Training Barracks. In December 2019, the Ministry of Defense and Veteran Affairs wrote to the Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development requesting for a tax waiver. This was because during the implementation of the works, the contractor faced investigations from the Inspector General of Government and suspended all works and payments due to Ministry of Defense and Veteran Affairs, resulting in penalties and interest. The contractor had now been cleared by all investigations and payments were approved. It was requested that interest accumulated be waived and taxpayer pays the principal. The amount recommended for waiver as at 1st December 2023 was 2.718 billion, which was interest accumulated. Case 4 is Mr. Donat Kananura. Donat Kananura deals in real estate development and has been registered since 1st of January 1996. The outstanding liability arose from the assessment of Uganda shillings 1.23 billion for rental tax and 1.285 billion for VAT. The taxpayer applied for an income tax and VAT waiver in December 2022 and January 2023 on various grounds. The recommended amount for waiver as at 12 September 2023 was Uganda shillings 1.695 billion for rental income tax and Uganda shillings 2.08 billion for VAT. Case 5 is MS Nicontra Limited. This company deals in civil engineering, majoring in road construction services, and has been registered since 4th July 1999. In January 2023, the taxpayer applied for a tax waiver quoting the following reasons. It depends on government contracts but has faced delayed payments by UNRA that resulted in accumulation of interest and penalties. As a result, the company has incurred loan obligations with various banks. The company is under threat to close business if the waiver is not given. The amount recommended for waiver as at 13 September 2023 was Uganda shillings 931.35 million of VAT and comprising of 537.7 principal tax and 394.195 as interest. Case 6 is Mr. Peter Okwang. Peter Okwang is a registered taxpayer located in Moroto, dealing in the mining of limestone. He has been registered since 1st July 2006. An audit was carried out and completed in 2022, covering the period 2018-2021, and withholding tax of Uganda shillings 237 million was assessed. He applied for a waiver claiming that he mines in remote areas of Moroto and the artisans he uses to carry out the work are not willing to be charged with holding tax, and neither are the drivers that offer him the transport services, and therefore making it cumbersome for him to withhold and remit to URA. The amount recommended for waiver as at 13 September 2023 was withholding tax of 385.145 million, comprising the principal tax of Uganda shillings 237.7 and the interest of 147.4. Mr. Chair, I'd like to add a right on this case that as we deal with this case, we shall discuss at the ministry and URA to find an everlasting solution, because the case of Rokwang is becoming a common phenomenon. It is the case we, the politicians, we should be able to understand, because most of our business people always come to us telling us similar cases. I invite members to think deeply about the situation of Rokwang, because it exists even in your localities, especially you people who represent towns. This is a common scenario. Busoga, case 7 is Busoga University. This is an education institution that has been registered for taxes since 28 October 2010. Government took over the university in 2017 following its closure by the National Council for Higher Education. Before takeover, the Auditor General ascertained and confirmed that the university owed URA Uganda shillings 763 million. The Ministry of Education and Sports could not take over the debt due to budget constraints. The Ministry of Education and Sports therefore wrote to Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development requesting for a tax waiver in July 2023. The university provided a memorandum of agreement between Government of Uganda and the registered trustees of the Church of Uganda and Busoga University on the takeover of the university. The MOU showed government committed to take over the agreed liabilities. The amount recommended for waiver as at 24th August 2023 was Uganda shillings 783 million 180,000 as pay as you earn, comprising of 444.988 million as principal and 338.191 as interest. Chisis Hospital Power Limited. The company is owned by both Chisis Hospital and North Chigezi Diocese and is into power generation for the community around the hospital and was registered effective 1st of March 2011. The company faced challenges resulting from the total breakdown of the infrastructure for power generation caused by flooding in the years of 2017 and 2019. Taxpayers borrowed funds to repair the step-up transformer and are still struggling to pay the loan. The amount recommended for waiver on 28 June 2024 was Uganda shillings 77.69 million, in VAT comprising of 38.926 principal and 38.769 in interest. Mr. Chair, I submit, but I would like also, we have laid before the clerk the annexes which give the issue raised and the response and the reason why. It is part of that file. We show the issue and the information which we have provided, and where we have not provided, we say not available. Mr. Chair, together with my submission and the annexures, I submit. Thank you.
Thank you. The annexes, as said, clerk confirm. In case you don't have, please contact, raise your hand and the clerk will serve you with the information. I would like now to open discussion, case by case. We'll start with, in order of presentation, I think we started with, was it Makerere Business Institute?
I am sorry. The minister now, instead of answering, is referring us to an annex, which we have not read, because I received it this morning. I don't know when it came. My fear is that if he doesn't answer the specific questions, or if these answers are contained in an annex, we're not going to ask him the same thing. Either, Chair, you allow us to first read the annex and see if the answers are there so we don't repeat ourselves, or the minister answers such that we now engage with him knowing that the answers are either available or they are not. I fear we may be raising the same things.
Yes, Honorable Ssemujju, the procedural concern has been
The company number 1 is MSJ2E Investment Limited. What information do you require? I want to go through so that my minister without the treasury, the shadow minister, can be able to move at the same pace with me. So the information required on J2E Investment Limited is Memorandum of Association. This information was not availed to us, to URA. We didn't get their memorandum and articles of association. It's not on file. History of tax payments. The history of tax payments is attached on the file for the company. So when you go to Sarah, what is attached on file, I'll be referring to Sarah to take members where it is. So can you refer to the page where it'll be on record?
Honorable Chair, in the file we have tax payments history, and this is real information which is available in the URA portal of the taxpayer.
Which page?
For
J2E.
For J2E, yeah. We have information on imports that is indicated over the years from 2014 to date.
I think what you'll do, Sarah, as you mentioned that it is available, just give us the figures.
Give us the figure where it is. Just don't go.
Yeah, we have 1.7 billion payments. From 2020.
Since inception.
Yeah.
Okay. Annual tax returns, we have provided financial year 2021, 22, and 23. This information is available on file. Which page?
The tax returns
are not numbered.
They are not numbered.
Members, the tax returns are therein attached.
Chairman has seen.
If the minister did not prepare these files, I think the best way is to say I presented this to the committee. If the chair confirms, we go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much. Audited accounts not available on file. Number of employees, 3 employees declared in the July 2024 pay-as-you-earn return. Tax liability breakdown, we refer you to table 1 below, which is also, which is part of
the total of 1.7.
the 1.7.
The 1.7 total.
So, company 2, case 2 is Mr. Donat Kananura.
We need to clarify, those are the issues we raised, I remember, and captured. And the information that is available has been referred to. What is not available has been declared. Yes, yes, Jane.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, statement. However, Mr. Chairman, we have been told that on file we have the memorandum and articles of association of these entities.
Yes.
So how do we proceed? How do we move with a company that has what we don't know? It's
I think we have an option of getting
Uganda.
these details from, if we insist, we can get them from URSB. So let's not bother. Yes, Honorable.
I've heard what the minister stated. There are about 3 employees. At least, maybe they can state the names of the people who came to request for this waiver, just for the record. We need to know who are the owners, who are the people running this company, because we cannot deal with a faceless company.
We are not interested in just the number, because they say the number, we didn't ask for names. So
That's
now,
why we requested for the certificate and then memorandum and articles and all that. We wanted to know actually the people behind this company.
honorable members, let me request that I guide. We said if they have not presented the memorandum and articles of association, and as a committee we need that.
I don't know whether at the end of this presentation,
Come again?
I don't know whether at the end of his presentation, the minister will deal with the issues that were general in nature. Such issues included sharing with us a criteria of who qualifies for a waiver and a list of those who had applied and who was successful. That was general in nature, but specifically on this company, we have information, if it is within his reach, about why this company is doing construction in the army, yet the army is doing construction all over. I don't know whether Musasi will be the one to answer that, but you remember Chairman asked for this, that our army is constructing roads, stadium, everything, but at their backyard, someone is there constructing for them. And then finally, Chairman, for me on this company, the Honorable Musasizi, and I have said this many times, I have never and will never doubt his competence. He's one of those when they let me down, I feel bad. Because he's a very competent person. He, as an MP, as a chairperson of a committee, how do you walk into Parliament to ask for a waiver when you have full dose information about a company? You don't even know who the owners of the company are. And then you come to Parliament and say, you Parliament, please waive, how much is it? 2.something billion from this company whose owners I don't know. I cannot forgive you, Honorable Musasi, and you know why.
Honorable colleagues, Ssemujju raises 2 concerns. One, about construction, when we know that the UPDF has an engineering brigade. So that is a matter of information, but I would like to clarify. I remember as a committee we talked about that issue, But was it among the issues sent to the ministry and for response, clerk? It wasn't. But Honorable Msasi, if you can give an explanation, and alongside that, respond to what the Honorable Ssemujju was asking. It was not possible for the ministry to be present. That matter was communicated to the committee. However, we did not want that to bias the rest of the information that we needed from the minister and URA. If there is a need for the ministry to come, and it is a decision of the committee, we shall do that. Yes, all right.
Thank you, Chair. It's an issue of policy and can be competently responded to by the ministry responsible. The line ministry, which is Defense and Veteran Affairs. Ssemujju also, Honorable Ssemujju, sorry, raises a question on what criteria. Mr. Chairperson, when we appeared in the last session before the committee, we explained the criteria as follows. One, if you feel you want to benefit from the waiver, you submit your request to the Commissioner General of URA. And this request, you people, not this, go to the law. What is the law? No, sir. I am sorry, Chair.
Let's allow the minister to conclude his.
Just.
As you organize, Honorable Minister. Yes, Honorable Jane.
I am seeing some document attached to the file for, this is who? Kananura. I am seeing here an attachment entitled, just a minute, as guidelines for assessment / verification of taxpayers' eligibility for tax waivers. There's something here attached. So I don't know whether that can...
There is something I would like to clarify, colleagues. Now, before Parliament are the first of their kind after the amendment of the law. Okay? And it doesn't mean that they will not have more. So the point he was trying to develop is that these are the kind of waivers that have been brought before them, but he was trying to quote the law. Can we allow him to conclude that part?
Mr. Chair, 41, if I may read, states that where the Commissioner is of the opinion that the whole or any part of the tax payable under the law by a taxpayer cannot be effectively recovered by reason of hardship, impossibility, undue difficulty, or the excessive cost of recovery, the Commissioner may refer the taxpayer's case to the Minister. And when the Minister receives the case, the law requires that we submit the case to Parliament. It is on this basis, Honorable Ssemujju, that I submitted the request to
Honorable Max.
For
just a follow-up question.
Approval.
URA to share with us the indicators for each of the criterion to enable us appreciate measurable, and monitorable indicators. Because it's based on those indicators that we can confirm that actually the application is well grounded on either of the criteria. I thank you.
Honorable.
The governance review regarding the tax exemptions and tax waivers, and you are coming up with a new criteria. Is this now the new criteria that you've come up with?
No. Mr. Chair, the governance review is still work in progress. Actually, we will be going to cabinet soon to present our new tax policy, which has the governance review and all these things we have been asking for. We have internally finished our consultations. We are now going to cabinet, then we shall relay to Parliament for information. That is where all the issues you are concerned
Members,
about.
I'm going to pick
This
two
is
more and I will guide.
We are doing what we are here for is strictly under section 41 and 2.
But Chair,
Simple, asking what criteria. And Max was asking the indicators to the criteria to pass, isn't it? And I can see hands are coming up. Unless we allow the minister and the team to exhaustively answer the question, we shall keep. Yes. Yes, Honorable.
The minister, whether or not one, where I mean one is now either an entity or an individual, has to meet all the criteria or part of the criteria to qualify for a waiver. And then two, Chair, I still need clarification because my understanding of a waiver is you either waive wholly or part. But I've perused through this is a general observation, I perused through this file. It seemed the minister chose to waive 100% of whatever request was put before her then. And I want to know why they chose to go that direction. Why not, in some cases, in part?
Yes, let's let them exhaust what you answer.
On the issue of procedure, they are quoting the Tax Procedures Code, the law. Yes, they are quoting it quite well. But the issue you need to know is you do receive numerous requests. What procedure do you consider, aside from the law? Because I don't think everyone who puts in a request gets this waiver, because I'm certain there are other people who could meet as well. Do you randomly select? What procedure, how do you go about it to select these few? What is unique about these ones that you did select?
Okay, and the last one?
The question, I'm not sure the minister is answering the question. What he wanted was very simple. This is the criteria. Let me give an example. We interacted, that time I was chairing the committee on COSASE with URA. They had waived taxes for roofings. The Commissioner General said the reason they were doing so was because this is a huge company that employs so many people that actually contribute so much to the economy. So the criteria was not just to read us the law. There was employment, there was also the contribution they are making to the economy, and what that waiver was going to help them achieve such that they contribute even more, because they are contributing building material. And that's the sort of criteria we're asking. The law we can find ourselves.
So, what other criteria, okay, did you follow to choose these? Members, I would like us to now exhaust that the last two questions, then we'll allow the minister to answer. We'll start with the Liberty and then Honorable Kugonza.
Thank you, Chair. Just has raised, much as a criteria was used to come up with the list of these companies for the waiver, Honorable Ssemujju asked a question: how many companies had applied before the short list, and how were they shortlisted? From what Honorable Masaba has raised, Honorable Chair, I wanted the Ministry and URA to come up with that method of how shortlisting was done in a very transparent way. You know, we have very many companies that all got affected, and I'm sure many might have applied. For purposes of transparency, will it not be prudent that they avail us with that?
URA will give us information.
Thank you.
How many applied and
I would like to thank the Minister for the submission, and I've listened to colleagues. Unfortunately, I missed the first part because I was very far and I was not able to join in. But looking at one of the fundamental information given to us, that on this particular case, we don't have a memorandum and articles of association. We do not have audited accounts. Now, even when actually, if you would choose to proceed with this particular case, you would actually be affecting the integrity of the whole process. In my view, on this particular case, we shouldn't proceed. Because there is first of all, you do not know the company. There is no audited statements. You would even have to be asking the minister, how did you even arrive at the figures that you are talking about? So to actually not really, it will kind of suck us into their problems on the other side. We are better off not to proceed with this particular case and move to another case.
We have not put a vote. Yes, Honorable.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, I am not so much concerned about the criteria used, but I'm deeply concerned about the precedent we set as a country. I am aware URA is a very prominent and a reputable organization, but today the minister, to me in his wisdom, is presenting to us a company or companies that are non-existent. If they're existent, Chair and members, I am sure the minister is capable of bringing us all the documents that are requested regarding these companies. Chair, how can we process a waiver from a company that is not known without audited accounts? How do we have certain reputation and credibility? I think this alone makes us put this file aside. This MSJ2E should be put aside because we don't know it. That is my contribution. Lastly, Chair, last time when we sat here, the major reason for this waiver to MSJ2E was that there was delay in payment from Minister of Defense. So does delay for payment or for in procurement warrant waiver? I think this is just something that we should think about and then put this aside. We don't have any justification for a waiver with MSJ2E. Thank you.
Now, thank you, honorable colleagues. A number of concerns have been brought.
We get this selected. We normally get applications from different taxpayers for tax waivers. And it comes on case by case. And whenever they come, we will first review the case, interview the taxpayer, visit the business, try to really understand. And in most cases, the main reason is difficulty, financial difficulty. So we will ask for that information, do all the verification that we will need to do. And then in most times, we give the taxpayer time to pay this tax. So sometimes we even give installment payments of 1 year, 2 years, as we really study. We also don't just say, let's recommend. So when that fails, then we now forward these cases to our legal department. There is a debt committee there which will review, and then we now recommend to the Minister of Finance. We also look at, other than the financial difficulty, we look at the big picture, what Honorable Ssemujju was saying. Big picture in terms of the impact of this business to the community that it serves. For example, the employment. Some of these businesses, like now the universities, the schools, the companies, they employ families, they employ households. So you look at all that and you are like, this company, if it got this relief, it will be able to continue paying us more tax in the near future. Then also, why others are not here? Others wait for waiver of interest and penalty, and they are willing to pay the principal tax on installment. So because we've been having those waiver regimes from 2020, we had that waiver regime. under 40C for COVID-19. Then we had another one last year. So they have benefited from that, and then we give them time to pay the principal tax. So those ones, we were not then able to bring them here. On the issue of the audited accounts, the accounts information is embedded within the tax returns. When a taxpayer is doing the self-assessment return, they normally summarize all the accounts information, sales and expenses. So we are able to pick some of that information there and use that. Sometimes we do assessments based on third-party information that we get. Like now, if you are working with the ministry, we can get that information from the ministry, and then we are able to assess you. So then on the issue of tax assessments are not based on MEMATs per se, because these are information. We really, if the taxpayer is able to give us the details of the directors and what, we will capture that information. What is of interest to us is to have information that can support the business of the taxpayer. Thank you, Chair. I submit.
Now, members, I think the biggest concern here, which members would like to have or explained, is J2E is a taxpayer, and you know the ownership, the shareholders in the company as the revenue authority. Do you? Or do you think you can avail this information if you don't? Sorry?
We know the directorship of the company. We may not know the shareholders.
The URA over that. And there is something you said that, and members have noted it throughout the entities we are talking about. And that's why I wanted the commissioner to clarify that the tax liability that we are talking about is accrued interest and penalty. Is that true? Do you have any principle as part of the liability? Can you explain?
Yes, yes.
We had asked for a breakdown. Why did we ask for a breakdown, honorable colleagues? The purpose of asking for a breakdown was to guide us, because we know we passed a tax bill here that enables taxpayers to benefit from the penalty and interest. So that now we know what is it in terms of liability that is pertaining to the principal tax. And that's what I wanted you to show us. In this outstanding amount that we want waived, what is in terms of principal tax, penalty, and interest?
Honorable Chair, taxpayers, we have principal tax, interest, and penalty indicated.
Do I have this file here?
Yeah, in the summary. There is a table against each of the taxpayers.
I'm told that's in your talking notes.
No, in each of the files. Table 1.
This is not a J2E.
Chair. Chair.
Yes, Honorable.
Thank you very much. The member from the Uganda Revenue Authority has explained is not very convincing. No. Because when you are doing assessment, because that is the law empowers you, you can actually use third-party information. You can go to even do audit by yourself of the institution to look at what transactions are being done. But now when you are going on the other side, when the company has failed, and now you are looking at getting a way how it can come out of this situation through a waiver, and you do not have an audited accounts that you can actually confirm, or even by your team to have done an audit, and you say now we use assessments or even third-party information, this is not adding up in this particular case. And then also the other question that we raised the chair, unless if she wants to tell us that URA has changed today, one of the requirements, even when you are getting a TIN,
correct,
as a body corporate, is you must submit the memorandum and articles of association.
Yes.
And it is in the memorandum and articles of association that you have the shareholders and the shareholding.
Chair, additionally, Deputy Chair,
Yes.
and I still remain.
Yes, Honorable.
Chair, we honestly respect you and believe you in that chair. The question that Honorable Kugonza is raising is really the question of the day. There is no way URA can interact with any entity, whether an individual, whether a company, without memorandums and articles of association. So when you tell us that we can get that, from where other than URA or Ministry of Finance? It is these people here before us to provide us that document. Then, Chair, I also did not believe the Commissioner very much, though I also believe in her capability. But to say that they depend on the returns filed...
Honorable, just a minute.
Yes?
Because I can see the Commissioner is not giving attention and the questions
They know the crux of the matter. That's why they are consulting here and there.
So proceed.
Okay, yes, Chair, for her to say that they trust so much in the returns filed and take decisions based on sales, the Commissioner knows how we even had to fund them with the technology, IFRIMIS, that is now even not being used. The health of an organization, of a company, depends on, you can only derive and get a conclusive idea and make a decision based on audited accounts, not the sales and whatever return she's talking of. So there is, I can't believe that they can make an assessment and come to Parliament based on returns that somebody finds.
I think the honourable members are making valid questions regarding
of the company, not necessarily the memorandum of association, because the memorandum of association contains so much information. What was required was memorandum. What we have, if it had been specific, if you are interested in ownership, we do not have ownership, but we have directorship of the company, because the company is directed by its directors. So when you're asking for a team as a company, we ask for the directors, which is presented through a company form 20, which is a URSB form. That's the one that we have. But we don't have memorandum of association and articles of association. That information is with URSB. Even when URA needs it, we ask for it from URSB in case of lifting the veil to look for shareholders. Thank you very much, Chair.
Now, I would like to guide, because we are rotating over this.
The memorandum and articles of association, audited accounts, ownership of the company. But I think there has been a fundamental question, and that's what I was alluding to when I asked the minister whether they have now completed the governance review, which they had committed themselves about 2 years ago to do. And one of the fundamental questions has been, is there a written guidance for URA and the minister themselves during the time when they were doing the waivers that they use in assessing a company whether it qualifies for the waiver? And I'm wondering, from what the commissioner was talking about, it sounded like it's very much something for the commissioner or her team or the people there to decide. Is there a written guidance that sets out all this in writing of how these assessments should be done for the waivers?
Members, you see we are losing a point. Okay? So the two questions, the one for Jen about audited accounts, and you are be sincere with us. If you need to first do an audit or something and then you come back to us, then let it be. But the point is that for the company to benefit, at least you should have some position of an audited position that you qualify. Yes, Honorable.
Yes, Mr. Chair, being allowed to present all the 8, and then we discuss at once. Because the case of J2E is one out of the many. We have those with audited accounts and all the information you asked for. And we have isolated cases of J2E and Kananura who do not have this information. But the rest, Mr. Chair, have.
Now, let me guide. It's good that so far we've made, as a committee, we've made our observations over the areas over this entity J2E. Okay? So, I want to guide that we proceed by allowing the minister to present all of them so that we note and come back after he has presented all the remaining entities.
Chair, just before you proceed, I had some concerns about that. I want to know why it was deregistered from VAT. I've seen on the list that you are already deregistered. It's number 158 with TIN 100
Which list, Honorable?
No, it's not there. I have my information.
Hey,
yes, it's
can you
from
please tender that information?
I'm going to share it. I'm giving it to you. It was VAT deregistered. Second.
When?
I'm going to share the information. Let me finish. The second one concerns about this same company. They have portrayed that it did clear taxes and it's a good taxpayer. Let them clarify on why there is a letter I still have from the former Commissioner General, Doris Akol, signed by the former Commissioner General, concerning a 15 billion tax evasion by J2E. And as an investigation, I think they can talk about it as well. I'm going to share this later. The other issue concerns one of the directors, One Moviru, who is one of the directors of this company, and the Uganda Institute of Professional Engineers, in a letter dated 16th October 2017.
I beg your pardon on that point.
There is a letter I do have from the Uganda Institute of Professional Engineers that is denying this Moviru. He's a signatory, he's a director actually on the document.
But what is the source of this information? we are real.
But members, I think, let me guide Big Masaba. What you'd have done, you'd have shared with me before, and even discuss as a committee.
But Chair, maybe you've forgotten, but when we were dealing with this issue, I remember it.
Minister, let me guide.
Chairman, if
can I ask that you, Honorable Ssemujju,
but you are allowing the minister to speak.
No.
For him, you don't first give him permission.
Just
speak anyhow. If a member is asking questions, let them answer that what he's saying is wrong, but you can't subject him that he must go and bring letters. Let them say all those letters are wrong. That's why he's asking questions.
Sorry, I didn't hear what you're saying.
A member is asking questions to be answered. Let the minister say the information you are raising is forgery, it is not there, and then we take him on record. But for you to say he should have shared with you, is this a private matter?
No, it's not a private matter at all. And I have made it us as members of the committee do not have this information. At least he should have made for us copies. That's the comment I made. And it's not in any way biased, Honorable Ssemujju. It is not in any way biased. I am only saying that the Honorable Member would have done us a service by giving us copies, and there's nothing wrong with that. So, Honorable Karim, with due respect, I am saying, can you make us copies? Because it is important that we have the information.
Chair, actually, I'm sharing them on the group.
Honorable Ssemujju, I am the one chairing this committee, okay? Yes, and I'm telling you what the preference is. He can use our technical team to make copies for our members. And that is the guideline I've given anyway.
And go ahead and get them on the group.
Exactly, that is okay.
Yes.
This is what I wanted, so that we are all able to benefit from the information. Having said that, we were saying the information we've asked regarding J2E from the minister and the team should be provided. Okay? Right now, we are proceeding with the rest of the entities. And I've asked the minister to read the rest of the entities. And after that, we shall be bringing issues concerning our observations. Yes, Max.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, last time we gathered here internally, of Finance and URA provide us, in addition to what they have already furnished us with, information pertaining to why J2E Investment Corporation Limited has, for a long time, had only one client. And that has not been furnished to us today. Could that be provided?
Yes, Commissioner. The concern of these people, why they have one client?
Certainly, Chair, because this
just wait, we are handling this matter. Yes.
Mr. Chairman, thank you very much for allowing me to move this motion. We received this is the second meeting I am attending. I don't know if there has been others. We came here to make the final decision, and you said this will be the last meeting. But because they are providing no information, it appears there will be more and more meetings. So just to be straight, I move that you adjourn the meeting to allow the minister sufficient time to go and bring the information that we require to make a decision. Mr. Chairman, I move, and the rules require that you put the motion to vote. That's what the rules require.
Now, we have heard your motion proposal. Honorable colleagues, before us are 8 entities. We have only discussed one entity. And that's why I was guiding that we are dropping J2E and requesting the minister to present the rest of the entities for our indulgence. So the motion does not stand. We put it to vote, yeah? No, it does not stand even voting. Let me ask you, no, go ahead and present the rest of the entities.
Why we needed that information, it would help us to gauge as to whether Minister of Defense is a monopsony of J2E or J2E is in a critical financial health. Short of that, we shall just be coming up with a subjective conclusion for Parliament.
Actually, we said probably we should put this aside. It's not that we should reject it, but they must provide this critical information. And because we want to consider as many entities as possible today, we move to those. Where we find we have adequate information, we consider that and move on.
Honorable Minister, can you proceed with the rest of the entities?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Two is Mr. Dot Kananra. His TIN number is provided as 1,000.
There are some
120
on that very one.
419 in the
just a quick one. No? Yeah, thank you. No, actually, Minister, take note of this. This was registered on 1st January 1996, which is a public holiday, and we're asking which office was open on that day. For what you have actually read. And that puts to test, to question this kind of entity. You can check your submission, Minister.
No, honorable members, I think but all those gaps, notwithstanding, let's allow them to present, okay?
What is the rule you are ruling on the J?
Mr. Chair, I beg the indulgence of colleagues. I will use less than 10 minutes.
For all of them?
Yes, for all of them. Yes.
Let's give time and listen to all of them. 10 minutes, he's done.
So, Honorable Chair, just to note that although I agree with your ruling, but I don't see how we can consider all the entities omnibus. And it's only procedurally right that we consider each entity on its own merit and decide and then move. But I agree with your ruling, Chair.
What I say it concerns, and we handle one after the other. Yes. So, and we shall handle them according to how he has read them. So we are starting with
Donat Kananra, TIN number 1000120 individual. You wanted information on annual tax returns for the last 5 years. The returns available are 2020, 2021, 22, and 23. They are all available on file. You wanted audited accounts for the last 5 years. None is available on file. You wanted estimated cost recovery. The recommendation was based on the financial hardships of the taxpayer, not any other factor. We have company 3 is MS.
So members,
Nicotra.
Just a minute, members, you note that we've received feedback on Kananra. Now we are going into another entity.
MS Nicotra Limited. The information required was tax liability.
Now, Honorable Ssemujju.
No, Chairman, when you come to present a tax waiver, and then he says in 10 minutes I will be done, he's actually giving you notice that I am giving you nothing.
No,
that's my understanding.
Honorable Ssemujju.
Don't worry, in 10 minutes I'll tell you everything. Members, I don't have.
Honorable Ssemujju, let's be sincere. Let's allow the minister to present. The judgment is ours. So where are we saying what has he said? Whatever he said, you have noted. So just proceed to the next entity. It is us to make a decision at the end of it. Yes.
Next entity, Mr. Chair, is required was tax liability breakdown or composition, and this information is provided under Table 1, Mr. Chair. And we provide the principal tax, we provide the penalty, we provide interest. In this case of Nicotra, the information, the tax, the breakdown is that the principal amount is 537.739 million. Interest, sorry, penalty nil, and interest is 394.195 million, totaling to 931. Annual tax returns for the last 5 years, we have availed 2020, 2021, 22, and 2023 are all on file. Audited accounts for the last 5 years for financial years 2021 and 2022 are provided on file. Another fourth case is Mr. Peter Okwang. The question, the issue is why recommended amount for waiver exceeds amount requested. The response is the difference represents interest accrued on the assessed tax. We refer to Table 1 below, and when I go to Table 1, Peter Okwang, mining limestone, tax type withholding tax, principal amount 237.7, penalty nil, and interest is 147.414, totaling 385.145. The next, you also wanted to know Peter Okwanga's relationship with suppliers. These are artisans and transporters of limestone. The Tax Appeals Tribunal decision on the matter. The decision was made by Alternative Dispute Resolution Committee, not Tax Appeals Tribunal. The copy of the decision is attached on file. Annual tax returns for last 5 years, we provide 2020, 21, and 23 on file. Audited accounts for the last 5 years, none of these is available on file. Case 5 is Busoga University. The issues are: 1, whether the tax is pay as you earn or VAT. And I refer you to Table 1, Table 1, Busoga University, where is Busoga? Busoga University, principal 444.988, and interest is 388, totaling 793.
83.
The tax type is pay as you earn. Clarity on ownership. Clarity on ownership is not provided.
Of Soga University?
Yes. There is a name we shall clarify further. We shall clarify when we get proper facts on the file. Annual tax return for the last 5 years not available on file. Audited accounts not available on file. Sixth case is Makerere Business Institute, MBI. Whether the tax is pay as you earn or VAT, we refer to Table 1. The tax type is income tax. Clarity on ownership. This one is yet to be provided by my ministry. Annual tax returns for the last 5 years, provisional return of 2023 is available on file. Audited accounts for the last 5 years not available on file. Next case is Nkumba University, whether the tax is VAT or pay as you earn. Table 1, Nkumba University, the tax type is pay as you earn for the staff. Clarity on ownership, we shall clarify after getting full information. Annual tax return for the last 5 years, we provide 2020, 21, 22, and 23 on file. Audited accounts for the last 5 years not available on file. Case 8 is Chisizi Hospital Power Limited. Annual, the information required is the annual tax return for the last 5 years. We attach it on file. Audited accounts for the last 5 years attached on file. And this is it, Mr. Chair. I submit.
Before I open the discussion, I would like to ask a pertinent question to my commissioner. It is, given the tax procedure code that we opened up for waiver, and based on the fact that when they pay principal, the penalty would be waived, have you engaged these entities over the same? Over a possibility of?
Chair, they only apply if the principal tax is paid.
Okay.
So, and two, this principal tax is in the system, and the system keeps accruing the interest and penalty on a daily. So if the principal is not waived or paid, interest and penalty will continue accruing. Thank you, Honorable Chair.
Okay. Yes. Yes, it is answered. It is answered because it is conditioned on
and the income tax or corporation tax. But what the minister has not explained to us is that this tax, for example, payee, is the tax paid by the person, part of his salary. Now, if you pay somebody the salary, you deduct from that person that salary as a tax. And I've always said it, that taxes are not paid by the businessman or the business. taxes is actually paid by the consumer, whether indirect or direct. So how does it come that I have a salary of 200,000, you pay it to me, you deduct 50,000 as payee, and you don't pay it to government or to URA? And the law is very clear that anybody who fails to remit any tax collected is actually personally liable. So how does Nkumba come and claim that they have a tax, they have failed to pay tax, yet they deducted this money from the employees? Maybe the minister needs to explain that.
So if it's not deducted, it becomes the liability of the entity. And I think this came through the COVID times, because even when you are paying less than what people should be receiving. So you are paying somebody 200 when the person is supposed to be receiving 1 million. So even deducting on the money that is not the actual salary was a problem. So they did not deduct, and this became their own liability. Thank you.
So you want to waive that?
Honorable Taiwa. You know, honorable members, we want us to clear this because it is real.
Nti naye ate eyo barakisizaayo waliwo kampani eyo jettu emu bweti yokka ekola omulimu ogwo kuzimba bintu by'amagye. Tubabuuza nannyini waayo yaani, tebamwogera. Yatandika ddi, teboogera. Kakati ate bagirese mu Parliament nti bane mugisonyiwa omusolo ffe twalwawo gisasula sente zaayo ze yazimbira ekaweeweeta. So olaba nga ekisooka bwe kampani ebeera etya ng'omulimu gwayo bukyanga etandikawo nti yo yabyakuzimba ezimba by'amagye. Ani nannyini waayo minisita agambye tetumumanyi. Lwaki yokka yezimba eby'amagye tasobola kukinnyonnyola. Kati waliwo omusajja omulala amuyita Kananula nti ye real estate developer azimba mayumba n'agatunda, nti tumusonyiwe omusolo kubanga yalwala. Naye bwe yalwala n'addira erinnya lya kampuni ye, erinnya ly'ebizimbe bye n'abiteeka mu kampani aleke bisasulira musolo. Ebintu bibiri oli byateekwa okutunuulira wano. Omwaka ogujja tugenda kusolooza omusolo gwa trillioni 31, naye nga tulina budget ya trillioni 7.2. Gavumenti tesobola kufuna musolo gutambuza Uganda, naye ate etuwadde olukalala lwawo bwe tuba tusonyiwa omusolo. Bw'osoma lipooti ya Auditor General yasembayo tuwa December 12, 2023, Auditor General ng'agamba nti Uganda yafiirwa ssente ezisukka trillioni namba mu kusonyiwa emisolo, naye ng'abantu be baasonyiwa emisolo ensonga ze baawa okufunira abantu emirimu, okwongera ebyenfuna bya Uganda, kwezi ensonga teriiyo n'emu gye baatuukiriza nga mulekera okusonyiwa abantu emisolo. Kati minisita azze nanga byemumubuuza nange sibimanyi. Chairman ne munga meeting tugigalewo nanga nti ayogereko byamanyi age tulinganga bali mu Katemba. So kati awo nze we mmalidde kubanga Katemba manyi theatre y'okumusanga si mu Parliament. Ng'oli aleese nti musonyiwa abantu omusolo nti ebibakwatako biriwa nti nange simanyi. Ate meeting negenda mu maaso.
Weewaawo kampuni ze baleeta nga baagala tuzigyeko omusolo kwe balaba nti tebasobola kusasula kuba tulina emitendera gye tuyitamu okulaga nti kampuni baba bagireese tugyekeneenya ne tugaa nti weewaawo eno eyise kubanga emitendera gye twateekako oba emitendera amateeka gye gateekako eno kampuni erabika yagayitako kubanga tuba tugyekenenya nga batuwadde n'empapula eziraga kiki kibadde kibabanjibwa ate kyajja kitya, musolo ki gwe tubadde tubabanja ate nga balemeddwa ogusasula, nakyo kireetedde obutasobola ogusasula. Leero kampuni zibadde ku kakiiko ka finance kenchairinga zibadde kampuni nga ziwera 8 nga zimu ku ezo ge masomero oba universities ezisinga obungi nga balaga nti mu biseera ebya COVID n'emabegako waba n'okubeera nti baali teba nga si bangi okusobola okusasula oba okuweza esente zinasasula abakozi bonna n'okulwaninga yunivasite beesanga nga bali mu mabanja. So ng'akakiiko tukubyemu tooki mu ebyo era tujja kutuuka ku position oba decision gye tugenda okukola. Yes.
Kampuni gye mulemeddeko criteria engeri gye yalondebwamu eyo ekola
eriwa yonna tekolamu wabula yakola emirimu gya Ministry ya Defense era eyo kampuni yafunako ne investigations era His Excellency the President of Uganda akimanyiko era ya commissioninga okunoonyereza ku kampuni eyo. Information gye batuwa bagamba nti okwo okunoonyereza kwayita bakumaliriza naye mu ebyo byonna ebyokusika omuguwa nti yafunamu obutasasulwa ssente zeebanja oba n'endala zajja lwakuba baalwawo gisasula n'olwekyo nga baagala ogwo omusolo tugwerabire. Ensonga ezibaddewo ziri nti bamembazi b'akakiiko badde baagala kumanya eyo kampuni yabaani nga lwaki yeekola emirimu gya defense nga ate tumanyi ne defense kennyini erina engineering brigade. Kati eyo ensonga tugenda gikubamu tooki okusinza mpapula ze batuwadde ffe ng'akakiiko tukole decision. N'ekirala bamembazi badde bagamba buli kampuni gye baleeta nga baagala tubasonyiwa omusolo kiba kirungi URA ejje ne audited accounts oba accounts eziraga nti bazeekeneenya ne baze auditinga nti weewaawo transactions ze baakola gwe musolo ogubanjibwa. Ebyo biba tebiriiwo kiba kizibu ffe okukola ki okusalawo oba tugiweereza exemption oba nedda. Kati ebyo byonna bijja kujja oba ebimu tubasabye bebadde tebalina ne bagamba bajja bisindika ffe ng'akakiiko tutuule tubekubemu tooki tusalewo ng'akakiiko naye nga eyo position ey'okusalawo tetunajja.
Ffe ng'ababaka abamu ku komiti ya finance tetuli convinced era tetuli bamativu n'engeri tax exemptions zino wezibwebwamu. Abantu bangi ebweru eyo balina challenges nyingi ate nga ze zimu naye lwaki balonzeemu bano abatono lwaki companies zino babeesinze ku ki kuba etteeka yes libawo olukusa okutunuulya kampani naye tewali procedure ntuufu egobereddwa nti ono be bamiitinze nti lwaki oli n'olita ate nga bonna kumpi balina financial hardship kuba wotugamba nti omuntu oyagalamu exempting emisolo kuba mulwadde. Abannayuganda bameka abalwadde eyo kumpi Uganda yonna kati awo jabba otusonyiwa emisolo kuba buli omu mulwadde. Abantu balina diabetes balina cancer balina ki so eno si justification okuba nti owa omuntu exemption eno ogamba nti omuntu ali highly indebted. Ffenna tulina amabanja buli omu astrugglinga n'amabanja okusasula. It's about financial discipline. Naye omuntu otugambye alina ebizimbe mu Kampala na Mirembe Road William Street naye ogambe nti bamubanja milioni 600 ali highly indebted. So ffe wano tulaba nti tetuli bamativu era ne minisita akirabye n'asobola okuwithdrawinga issue eno ekwatagana ku mukulu gwe bayita Donati kubanga justification eno temala. Omuntu okuba nti alinamu obulwadde tekimuleetera kampani eyo kubeera exempted. Otunuulya kampani endala ya J2 investment eno kampani ekola contracts za government. Yes government erwawo okusasula. So lwaki ono tumu exempting emisolo kuba government eruddewo okusasula. Abantu bangi babanja government trillions and trillions of shillings. Abannayuganda bangi abasupplyinze government ebintu abakoledde government emirimu naye nga bali mu kustrugglinga n'emisolo. Lwaki tutunuulira kampani eneemu ate nga tugezezaako okugyayo ebyafaayo bya kampani ng'eraga ebadde evading emisolo eri mu kustrugglinga erina investigation eyagikolebwako ng'eraga nti erina emisolo mingi gyebadde yeewala okusasula. Lwaki bagireeta ku lunaku lwaleero kubanga tubagi exempting okusasula VAT ate nga tukimanyi nti guno omusolo gwa VAT ogwa VAT gusasulibwa final consumer. So ene company eriwo okugucollectinga kuba weba construction company wegula cement negule emitayimbwa n'ebiki byonna bibeerako VAT. So naye weba eri mu kola returns submitting mulimu VAT. So ya collecting VAT okuba kuba final consumer. So government okulwawo okusasula teyinza kuba nsonga emala okuba nti exempting a company okusasula emisolo. Abooluganda badduse. Oluganda badduse.
Yes, as a finance committee members, some of us have not been convinced by the criteria and explanation to which the Ministry of Finance is basing on to request for exemptions of some of these companies. When you look at, for example, one of the companies that has been brought forward, they wanted to give exemptions because one of the priorities, the directors, has been having terminal illnesses, diabetes and all that. But how many Ugandans out there are sick? So if you're to exempt someone basing on sickness, meaning you'll exempt the entire country, and very many people out there are struggling to pay taxes as well, and the government has not looked at them. So I think one of the principles of the tax, it should be fair, it should cut across, everyone should feel the same impact. So when you exempt one person, then you're being unfair to the millions of Ugandans out there who are paying taxes. And when you give a justification that one of the companies is highly indebted, so when you looked at the documents, they're talking about a loan of 600 million shillings, and yet in the same document, you're saying this individual owns properties on Namirembe Road, owns properties on William Street and Nabugabo, and you want to exempt him to pay because he has a loan of 600 million, which we believe is quite minimal. This person, actually, they could negotiate and have a payment plan because he has properties. He's still collecting rental tax. So why do you want to exempt him from the taxes, yet he still has the properties which he can collect revenue to clear this outstanding tax liability?